thanks everyone for joining the session. So I think for today, we're going to talk about everything that you should know about PMP and CAPM certifications as normal. This is our session 4. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you know me already, but just for the people that are new to the webinar series, just to give a little bit of update or to introduce myself. So my name is Seshne Govender. I am a founder and director of a company called Fundamental Project Management. I do have over 15 years of dedicated project management experience in both program management as well as project management. In my career, I've definitely spearheaded numerous projects across financial services, telecoms, as well as the retail sectors here in South Africa. My hands-on experience stemming from managing the intricate ID components in these sectors have enriched my understanding and the insight into the world of project management. Okay, so my education started in the field of engineering, so chemical engineering. And soon after, I discovered my true passion, which is projects. And that happened while I was in the financial services sector. So throughout my career, I had the experience of putting on many hats. So doing work as a process engineer, so I have a good understanding of processes and the flow, being a business analyst, and then ascending to project and then program manager. So definitely have a good skill set in terms of all of the roles that make up projects. And each role has definitely added to my career, and it definitely has been one that I have immensely enjoyed thus far. And in addition to my experience along the journey, I've also managed to become certified, so both in program management as well as project management. So I've got the PGMP as well as the PMP certification. It's definitely helped me along my journey, especially understanding, the different tools that could be applied in the different situations. So now what I do is I help people. I definitely, my mission and my goal is to share the knowledge and experiences that I've gained in my career with the professionals that are aiming to grow their career in project management. So I'm definitely deeply committed to training, to coaching, and also mentoring anyone that actually would like to enter the field of project management or grow into more senior roles. And then I'm also hoping that you also have, as a good a journey as I've had so far in my career. So therefore my path now and also going forward. So this is definitely where I see myself also in the future. So for today, we're going to go on to session 4. And session 4, we're going to talk about the different development approaches. So Waterfall, Agile, Hybrid. We're going to talk about the benefits and some of the principles of these. So some key takeaway from the sessions, or what we're going to cover today, is we're going to do a recap or a refresher of what we've done in session 3. We're going to then move on to Waterfall versus Agile versus Hybrid. Also, we've got the benefits of Agile in project management, benefits of PMP also in the international market. We'll talk about the 4 principles of project management training. Also talking a little bit about emotional stability and balance, just so that you get an understanding of how important that is in our journey. We're going to do some sample exam-like questions, and then as always, frequently asked questions so that you get an understanding of some of the questions that I get posed. So I'd like to share that with everyone. And then also in the upcoming session, what are we going to do there? So moving on to our recap. So the last time we looked at the exam questions, we mentioned that if you are going to attempt the CAPM exam, then there's a total of 150 multiple choice questions. Of the 150 questions, there are 15 that's considered pre-test questions. That means that they're not scored on the exam. And then you're going to have 135 questions that is scored. But for the total 150 questions, you're going to have 3 hours, right? So you won't know exactly which questions are unscored. So you will see 150 questions and you will have 3 hours to be able to do that. So similarly, if you are interested in the PMP certification, then the exam consists of 150 multiple choice questions. 5 of them are pre-test or unscored, and then you've got 175 questions. So to do the 180 questions, you have 230 minutes in order to do the exam. Looking at the books and the reference books that you would need, the CAPM has these books that are on the screen. There are specific chapters that are referenced. So there is a very nice ECO guide, which is the exam content outline. It has a guide that actually maps the chapters from these books that you would require for the CAPM exam. So there are sections that's covered from each of these books. Then from a PMP perspective, these are the recommended books that you should or can read. For me, I would definitely suggest 3 of them from the list. So the first one is the Agile Practice Guide. That will give you all of the knowledge in terms of Agile practices. Then there's also Process Groups, a practice guide. So that's going to give you all of the knowledge that you need for predictive projects. And then there's also the PMBOK guide, which will give you the generic principles that a project manager should use regardless of the development approach. So these 3 books are definitely recommended for me, or I would suggest that you definitely have a look at that for the exam. Okay, then moving on to the CAPM domains. This is how the CAPM exam is broken up. So the percentages are the different percentages that are assigned to the different areas. So we've got 36% of the exam that is going to cover the 5 tasks, which is under project management fundamentals and core concepts. Then for the predictive plan-based methodology, it's 17% of the exam, and there's 3 tasks that you would need to be familiar with for the exam. For Agile frameworks or methodologies, that consists of 20% of the exam, and you're going to have 5 tasks that you need to master there. And then business analysis frameworks, which is 27% of the exam, and then there's 6 tasks that you need to be familiar with. Okay. Moving on to the PMP exam. So for the PMP exam, the people domain is made up of 42% of the exam. There's 14 tasks that you need to be familiar with, understand, and master. And then there's the process domain, which basically makes up 50% of the exam, which 17 tasks. And then there's the business environment domain, which makes up 8% of the exam, and there's 4 tasks. So in these domains, all development approaches are covered, which is predictive, agile, as well as hybrid. Okay, so all of that is covered also. So moving on to the webinar for today. Today we're going to discuss the waterfall versus agile. So some key differences between the traditional waterfall project and the agile project. So firstly, if we talk about waterfall and we think about it from a project planning perspective, your waterfall projects will definitely rely on the detailed long-term project plans with a single timeline. From a project management perspective, it's going to follow a very definitive, rigid project management structure. Often it does have fixed team roles. Okay. The changes in the project deliverables are generally discouraged because it can be costly to implement once the plan is set and work has begun. The fully completed product for an agile project is only delivered at the end of the project timeline, often after quite a long period of starting the project. And from a requirements perspective, it definitely employs something which is more like contract-based approach. So you're going to define your scope and your requirements, and then you're going to deliver on them, right? So your requirements are known upfront, or is required to be known upfront. And from a customer involvement perspective, it's normally at the beginning of the project when you're collecting your requirements, and then normally at the end of the project when you've got some testing or when the customer then gets delivery of the product. So that's the 2 points where you probably have a lot of customer interaction. From a phases perspective, the waterfall project will follow quite a linear approach where each phase has to be completed. You need to get the relevant sign-offs before you go to the next one. Okay, there will be dependencies then between the phases, or the completion of one phase and then the start of the next. If we look at agile projects generally involve shorter planning cycles. It's based on iterations, and you'll have multiple deliveries as part of the project, and those iterations or sprints, they are interchangeable in terms of name, but it basically means the same thing, a small time-boxed period where the customer will get delivery at the end of the sprint. Okay, so Agile definitely does promote a more flexible cross-functional team composition. And then the roles within the team, you can adapt them as needed. Okay, so basically what this means is that team members, they can help each other in terms of getting the work done for the specific sprint, if they are capable. And then for changes, Agile expects and welcomes changes in the project deliverables, and the changes are definitely less disruptive and less costly to implement. So it caters for change as part of the life cycle. The product is also delivered incrementally in functional stages. So you allow for early and then continuous value delivery. The Agile approach also employs a more collaborative and interactive approach to defining and refining the requirements throughout the project. And your customers are actively involved throughout the project, providing the feedback, giving the guidance that's required during each sprint. Agile also uses a concurrent approach that definitely seeks to reduce the dependencies, because it does allow multiple aspects of the project to progress simultaneously. So in a nutshell, your waterfall approach is characterized by its sequential, rigid approach, whereas in Agile, it's definitely more flexible. There's a lot more customer collaboration, and development is done iteratively. And the choice between the approaches will depend on the nature of the project as well as the requirements that you get. So you've got, moving on, so Agile and Waterfall are two different management methodologies. and it's best suited for different types of projects. So if you look at Waterfall, it is best for projects with clear, well-defined outcomes from the beginning. It is also suited for projects with strict regulations as it emphasizes delivering in the defined phases before moving on. So getting approval before you move on to the next phase. It also requires a comprehensive understanding of the project before starting. So knowing all the things that you would need to do to develop the project before starting any of the work. So the planning will cater for all of that. From an agile approach, it's ideal for projects where the final outcome is uncertain and the teams need to adapt the environment. Where the teams need to adapt and experiment, okay? So it requires then also a flexible, collaborative, and self-motivated team to be able to work on this in this environment. It involves the frequent communication and check-ins with your business owners as well as your stakeholders to adjust the course if needed during the project. Then the hybrid project management approach, it's actually a technique that combines the aspects of both Agile and Waterfall methodologies. So you can have a high-level project plan with project phases using the Waterfall approach, because it will provide the structure and the clarity up front. This is normally something that management sort of likes. Then your project phase work, which is the tasks, is executed then using your agile methods. So it allows for the flexibility and the adaptability then during the execution. Okay, it requires also clear conventions and guidelines to ensure a smooth combination of the two approaches. So make sure everyone understands how that is being combined. So the hybrid project management approach, it can offer then the balance between the structure and flexibility. So it does make it suitable for projects that have elements of both predictability as well as uncertainty. Okay. So what are the benefits of having a PMP in the international market? So firstly, you will definitely enhance your career opportunities, okay? The demand for certified PMPs is definitely growing. A recent PMI commissioned analysis, it looked at career growth for project managers, okay? So the study estimated a growth of 33%, which is nearly 22 million jobs through to the year 2027. So by 2027, employers will need nearly 88 million individuals in project management orientated roles. So because of this high demand, it's definitely going to be more opportunities to advance your career and earn more money. Okay. So secondly, you will be recognized as an experienced professional. So the PMP certification is universally recognized symbol of excellence in the field. The type of certification is global in nature, and it means that the skills required to translate across all industries and projects then is acquired. The PMP certification also adds to your value in the market, and companies that have PMPs have projects that are also more likely to be completed as required on time and on budget. Okay, so that's key for any company. Thirdly, you will also speak the right language. So as we know, communication is key to successful project management. The PMP certification signals that you speak a common language, which is essential then for the good communication. It is likely you will take on many different kinds of projects in your career. it is also likely that you will have to work with a different team each time. So if you can speak the common language, you will ensure that everyone stays on the same page. So that's definitely critical for projects. You will understand the essential framework of project management, including phases like procurement audits and procurement performance reviews. So it's not simply industry terms, but definitely necessary pieces of the project management puzzle. And you will understand with the certification how all those puzzle pieces fit together. Okay, you will also learn new skills. So the certification will also open up avenues to learn new skills that's going to enhance your knowledge and opportunities for your career growth. Yeah, so what can the certification process teach you? Undergoing all of the necessary things that you would need to do to be able to earn and get the certification definitely proves perseverance. Okay, so you are definitely going to show that you have the necessary perseverance to pursue any opportunities in your career once you've attained the PMP. Okay, passing the PMP exam is definitely not easy. It takes many hours of studying and preparation. It requires you to master the material and learn the fundamentals of each of the methodologies used in project management. You're also going to learn important hard as well as soft skills such as communication, leadership, organization, team management, resource management, problem solving, conflict resolution, and time management, to name a few. Lastly, you will also learn the best practices and also the current trends in project management. Number 5, you will probably earn more money. So according to Global Knowledge IT Skills and Salary Report, the average North American, so if we use that as a benchmark, the North American IT professional earns about $109,000 annually. Okay, so that's just the average professional. Those with the PMP certification, however, earn about $129,000. So that's almost 18% above the mean. Okay, so your salary is definitely going to be about 18% higher. Okay, so you will demonstrate also your dedication. So the dedication that is required to earn the PMP certification is something that others recognize. First, you have to meet the strict standards in order to qualify for the exam. So you either need a bachelor's degree that requires 36 months and an associate or an associate's degree that requires at least 60 months of experience. And then plus the certification will mean that you are dedicated to improving your knowledge, skills, and credentials. And this will definitely translate to respect from both your employers, your peers, the team that you manage, and also the clients. Then if we look at the 4 principles of project management training, firstly, you've got customization. So it is quite important that content from training is customized from a content structure, the delivery method, based on what you need. Because when you enter your training, okay, the point of the training is what you need to get out of the process rather than what is being offered. Okay, and having training that is tailored or fit for what you require is actually the best for the student itself. And definitely from the training courses and things that I offer, I do try to tailor this for the specific audience that is required. Okay, so then from a learning style, okay, asking questions during the course, challenging people to think more deeply is key to learning. So the more thinking that can happen in the sessions, the more that you learn from the process. So it is said that adults will learn to the degree that they are engaged in dialogue and processing. So you will find that once you're in a training course and it's more interactive, that will mean that there is more learning that you will gain out of the course. Okay. Then there's also something called experiential learning. So when you're not just learning content, but you're actually then going to learn the skills and the principles that you want to apply, the approach to the training also needs to be different in order to achieve this. It needs to be more experiential. So in order for this to happen, you do need to spend the time doing lots of practice exercises. You need time to reflect on the answers, understand what is appropriate for the different situation. You can also then have the discussion in your smaller groups with other people in the training. So you can also brainstorm how to then apply the concepts to your own situation. So this is going to allow you definitely to get the more hands-on sort of skills that you need. And also continuous improvement. So as we know, when we go for training, it's not just an event, okay? Training, making sure that you have the right skills, being able to apply that also in your working career is a continuous improvement process. Okay, so once I think you understand the need for the training, and then you can shape your processes and policies so that you can secure that need. So that's more in terms of enterprises. Okay, so the companies that you work for. Else, if you do this individually, then you need to understand the need for your training and then basically how or what you are targeting in the future. Okay, so that's basically, I think when you look out for training, this should be what you're looking for. And the reason for this is just so that you get the best out of the training or whatever training that you decide to take. Okay, so just like a little nugget if you'd like to use it. Then next, the benefits of Agile in project management. So Agile, as we know, is a mindset. It influences how we choose to think and act. In Agile, we choose to then accelerate our value realization by embracing worthwhile changes. So we definitely want to delight the customers by taking the customer-centric view to our work. So definitely putting the customer first and what is required to make them happy. Improve group capability by proactively collaborating instead of working in functional silos. So very, very important in order to get the outcomes required. Want to improve predictability by refining our understanding of what is needed through regularly showing our work and acting on the feedback. We want to optimize flow by working on small items instead of big items, okay? Because big items are accomplished incrementally as a series of small things. Okay. And limiting the amount of work in progress will also make it easier to identify the inefficiencies in the team's workflow. And then also to improve continuously by frequently learning from our experience and involving our practices based on what we learned. So those are definitely the benefits of Agile in project management and the reason why this is gaining such momentum in the last few years. Okay. Then moving on to emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence? Okay, it refers to our ability to recognize, to control, and communicate emotions. Okay, so emotions are always present, and nothing great has ever been accomplished in the world without the power of emotions behind it. By suppressing the information given to you by your emotions, you are making decisions with very limited data. So emotions are not good or bad. They are just information that you need to use in your process of how you're going to manage situations. So it is how you're going to manage your responses to your emotions that is good or bad. So emotional intelligence is the ability to intentionally manage your emotions so that they work for you both professionally as well as personally. It's really not about being nice, but it is about making sure that you are able to control your emotions so situations don't get out of hand. So it is about being authentic to yourself and meeting your own unique identified needs while you can help others to identify and meet their unique needs. But that only will come once you understand yourself and your emotions first before you can actually get the benefit of helping others. Okay. It is absolutely necessary to have good emotional intelligence in order to reason well and also to be competitive in the workplace. So something we all should be working on every day. Benefits of increasing emotional intelligence for project managers, so bringing it home. So you use emotions to improve and guide your thinking. So you're going to embrace the role of emotions in enhancing and also directing your thought processes. It's crucial to understand that if you have a low emotional intelligence, it often leads to consistently subpar performance. Yes, because if you think about it, we all encounter individuals that have remarkably high IQs who actually struggle in the realm of emotional intelligence. So these people generally, they could offend others. They could be ineffective as being team members. They often face difficulties in building relationships. They struggle to adapt swiftly during periods of change. And sometimes, if not in most cases, they do remain oblivious of the areas for improvement. Okay. So therefore, due to that, there is subpar performance. So it's quite sad in some instances because when you're oblivious to this, you don't really know why you are stuck with subpar performance in your career. Okay. But in contrast, if you look at the people with high emotional intelligence, they actually excel at navigating through the challenges. They'll refrain from taking things personally. They effectively network, and then they channel their energy and efforts towards the well-defined goals. Okay, so here they don't look at the small things along the journey and let that affect them, but they actually will look at the long-term goal that they are working towards. And everything that is not relevant to that specific goal then is actually, not something that would bother the person. So you also need to be able to persuade and influence others. So you need to develop the capacity to persuade and influence others effectively. So a high emotional intelligence empowers you then to uncover and express your unique self. When you recognize, you respond to, and then also respect your own emotions and authenticity as a person, it will naturally foster the same recognition, also response and respect from others. So the heightened self-awareness that you will have about yourself will enable you to communicate with impact, cultivate the strong relationships that you would like to have, and maintain alignment and motivation with the project team throughout the project's duration. Okay, so definitely creating that positive working environment. So then you're also going to remove barriers to working with others. So individuals with the strong emotional intelligence will foster trust and also harness the potential of their peers to formulate innovative strategies that's going to be aimed at enhancing shareholder value. So this means that you're going to be working well with others. You're going to be able to then come up with quite innovative ways to be able to remove blockages on your project, creating the value that you need for the organization. Quickly transform your change, problems, and conflict into opportunities. So you're going to assist your team in producing that project success. You're going to empower your team for project success. Emotional intelligence will play that pivotal role, with 90% of critical success factors actually directly connected to it. Okay, so while meeting the traditional project success criteria, which we all know what they are: on-time delivery, budget adherence, quality, client satisfaction, that's all commendable. Okay, it often definitely comes at a high cost. Okay, so you're going to have to put in long work hours. There's going to be a lot of stress, conflicts that's going to occur. There's going to be damaged relationships as a result, and a failure to capture then the lessons learned out of this. So that's if you continue, and it's quite commendable, because in this aspect, you're definitely just putting your head down. You're going to just try to make sure that the project lands on time, the budget, everything that you need to do as a project manager. But the way you do it is also important. Okay. So by understanding and implying emotional intelligence, it goes beyond conventional methods. Okay, making success more attainable and satisfying. So basically what it is saying is that in today's workplace, employees, okay, they want to seek that alignment to their personal goals and work. So they prioritizing that over mere, profit of the job, or the monetary value associated with it. They actually want a position that's going to align with their personal values. Okay. So what this means is, if you build those strong relationships, you will be able to then navigate the complexity of projects in a better way, preventing you from stressing, from having to put in and work the long hours, because you're going to think about it more strategically. You're going to leverage the relationships that you built in order to align the project progress. Okay. And then you will be able to get the assistance along the journey to make the project successful. Okay, so as with everything in life, practice does make perfect. Okay, but it's definitely a balancing act. So first, you need to be in connection with yourself. Okay, so firstly, we have feel. So you do need to be aware of your emotions, understand what you feel, and try to understand what others feel. So this is understanding your situation as well as understanding the broader context. So then you have a good view of the situation. Secondly is think. So think why? Why do you feel these emotions? You need to analyze them quite carefully and also think about the way forward. Okay. And this will help you then take control of the emotions, because trying to understand why you're feeling this way and also analyzing all of the information, you do tend to then remove the emotions and it becomes more a logical thinking process. Okay, so naturally your emotions will be controlled in this way. And 3 is act. So you should only act when you understand the situation clearly. So until then, you are not in the best position to be able to make the decisions. Okay, and the reason for this is you don't want to make rash decisions that's going to have further long-term consequences. So therefore, it's only suggested to act once you take the time to do the feeling, the thinking, and then to act. Okay, because once you go through this process, by the time you come to act, you should actually then, act with purpose. You'll understand what you need to do in the most proactive, professional way. Okay, and then we have some sample exam-like questions. So you are welcome to post your answers in the chat if you'd like. And then now we're going to go through each of the sample questions. Okay, so first up, what prototyping technique shows the sequence or navigation through a series of images or illustrations? Is it A, storyboarding, B, wireframes, C, evolutionary, or D, interactive? Okay, so I'll give you 15 seconds. You're welcome to post and then I will share the answers. Okay, answer is storyboarding. So storyboarding is a prototyping technique. It does show the sequence or navigation through the series of images and illustrations. So it allows your stakeholders to visualize the flow and also the interaction within the project, and therefore storyboarding is the correct answer. Okay, so what is the purpose of a requirements traceability matrix in project management? So is it A, to track the progress of project deliverables? Is it B, to document and manage project risks? C, to link product requirements to the deliverables that satisfy them? And D, to measure and assess project performance? So you're welcome to go ahead. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer. Okay, so the answer is to link the product requirements to the deliverables that satisfy them. So that is basically the purpose of your requirements traceability matrix, because it does establish that clear connection between the product requirements and then how that will be traced throughout the process to the ultimate deliverables. Okay, and how that is delivered through the process. So that's what your requirements traceability matrix tracks. So next question, which component of a business case assesses the financial viability of a project? Is it A, strategic alignment, B, your economic feasibility study, C, assessment of risk exposure, and D, expected key performance measures? So you're welcome to place your answers. Give you a couple seconds. Okay, so it's the economic feasibility study, because that is a component of your business case, the economic feasibility study, and it is used to assess the financial viability of a project. It includes things like analyzing the costs, the benefits, and also financial projections so that you can determine if the project is economically feasible and it definitely has the positive return on investment that the company is looking for. Okay, so next up, a project team has challenged the team to minimize defects and waste in project teamwork. As an initial step, the team proposes to assess the relevant quality standards and framework. How can the team do this? Okay, so is it A, review the requirements management plan, B, check the ISO.org website, C, investigate the project quality metrics, or D, interview the person who manages quality compliance? Okay, you're welcome to post your answers. So definitely investigating the project quality metrics, because these are definitely quantitative measures in the project that assess the quality of your project deliverables, processes, and outcomes. A team member is having an extremely difficult and busy personal life. The team is not aware. They only see mistakes and missed deadlines. The team is in the middle of an iteration, and this team member's latest mistake has caused a major issue. How should the team lead respond in this situation? Is it A, to coach the team member, B, to replace the team member, C, to discipline the team member, or D, to consult the team member's functional manager? Okay, answer definitely coaching the team member. So coaching will be then the process of correcting any behavior that you see, also to increase successful achievement of goals, whether on the professional or personal side. So definitely coaching. Also to open up the conversation between the manager and the team member. So definitely something that can be useful to maintain a positive relationship also, and then to make sure that you achieve your project objectives. So definitely the choice that we should use. So next up, a project manager is working on a data center migration project and is developing the schedule management plan. The project was planned to last 40 days and the project sponsor wanted it done in 35. I'm sure we've all come across this situation. Which action should the project manager take to amend the schedule for the new requirement? Should the manager A, crash activities that are not on the critical path, B, increase the duration of the critical path, C, use leads, or D, use lags? Okay, so you're welcome to place your answers. Okay, so a lead basically is taking an activity and making it start before another activity is due to end. So in that way, you're going to try to make the project a bit, or get the project out a bit faster. But the problem there is it does introduce some risks to the project, right? So once you do introduce the leads, you will bring in the timeline only for finish start relationships, okay, and those that are also on the critical path. But it will have risks associated, which you do need to raise as part of the process as well. Okay, frequently asked questions. So this is some of the questions that are generally asked of students. So the first one, what is reserve analysis in PMP? Okay, reserve analysis is a technique that a project manager can use to determine the total budget, also the project team, depending on the development approach, to determine then the total project budget for long-running projects. So your total budget is classified as or equal to your cost baseline plus your management reserve. And the cost baseline is generally what the project manager is given to manage. So that's within the project manager's control. And then you've got your management reserve, which is then more from a management perspective. So that's not given to the project manager. Then your cost baseline, which is managed by the project manager, is your cost estimate. So all the costs associated with the activities that you need to do as part of the project, plus the contingency reserve for any of the risks that are associated with the project. So that's basically what reserve analysis is for and how it is used. Okay. So next up, is PMP certification worth it for an experienced project manager? So definitely worth it for experienced project manager. So I think from many sessions now, we have looked at the different surveys and studies that's done across the world, and you do earn a higher salary if you have your PMP certification. Okay, so if you compare yourself to another PM without the PMP certification, their salary, the person who doesn't have the PMP certification, will actually be 16% lower. Okay, so you will have greater opportunities for managing larger scale projects. So the reason for this is your company is going to have more faith in your abilities, and therefore they will give you these larger scale projects to manage because they will feel confident that you will be able to achieve the goals of the project. You will also have more networking opportunities with other project managers that have a PMP that can help you grow your career. So definitely something that's, people should use. I don't think that's used often enough, the networking opportunities with fellow PMP graduates, we shall say. Okay. So what are the benefits of your PMP certification? Okay, so it adds value to your CV. We know this. It proves that you have the necessary experience and skills. We also find in the industry that recruiters now, who's normally the gatekeepers for positions to companies, they actually look for this on your CV. And if you don't have it, then you don't pass the first check. So even before you are presented to the company, you don't even make it through the first round if you don't have it on your CV. This is the information that's coming through to us. Okay, so it also makes it easier to access opportunities in the market. Definitely, once you pass the first check, then normally once you make it in front of the company, then it gets a lot easier to land opportunities, right? Because they actually get to know you and your skills that you bring to the table. Then also improves career opportunities that can lead to career growth because of that, being able to land the projects with a larger scope normally comes with greater visibility, and therefore, career growth is a natural process thereafter. Obviously, you will do a good job at those larger projects. And then also you will earn more than those without the certification, which I think we've shown and proved through the surveys now. So what are the benefits of joining the PMI local chapters after getting the PMP certification? Okay, so they're having the ability to connect with other project managers, learn from them. That actually is something that will be quite beneficial to you and your career. You'll be able to develop project management skills also by staying up to date. There's various webinars, various like lots of information that's shared with project managers. So you definitely, are up to date with what's happening in the market and also the global landscape with project management. You can also give back to the community by volunteering your skills, your expertise, and time. So definitely something where you can add value also for the people around you. And then what is your toughest topic for PMP? Okay. So I think this question asked by many, and the reason for that is just understanding the area that they should concentrate on the most. But what I say is every person is different. Every person understands elements differently. Okay. So there isn't going to be one topic and the same topic for all people. Okay. So where you need to start then is start with the process domain. Okay. We know that it makes up 50% of the exam. Ensure that you understand the content before moving on to the next, which is people and then the business environment. And once you do this and you do your practice test, you will understand for yourself what are the elements that you need further help on or further explanation on. And if you come to this point and you need along the journey anything or any explanations, you're always welcome to drop me a note, and I'm happy to help you along that journey. Yeah. So next question, how can I qualify for PMP hours if all of my project management experience is from being self-employed? So firstly, when you're doing the application for PMI, they do only accept experience that's from a professional working setting, so professional working experience. So your self-employed work, it must follow also the PMI definition of a project, which means creating the unique product, service, or result. And it has to be a temporary endeavor because it does need to have a defined beginning and end. So that obviously is the definition of a project. And therefore, it has to follow this convention to assume the project management experience. Therefore, because of the defined beginning and end, also has the defined scope of what you need to deliver in that time frame, as well as all of the resources that you would need, both people, equipment, and any other items to deliver the project. And remember, routine operations are definitely not projects. Okay, so just be mindful of that, where you do need to make sure that the project is unique in its delivery. So it's not going to be a routine operation, because you won't be able to then use that as experience towards a project. Okay, so making sure if you're self-employed that you follow this guideline, then you will be able to understand what experience you will be able to use for your application. And then now session 5, what then are we going to do there? So some quite exciting topic next is how to clear this CAPM and PMP exam in the first attempt. So I think that will be a very nice topic for us to do in the next session with everyone. And then looking through the agenda, so next session, we'll always do a recap as normal. So we'll do a recap of what we did in session 4. We'll give some CAPM knowledge bites. So we'll do key terms and definitions that you should know. Also similar for PMP, your knowledge bites, the key terms and the definitions. Also how to clear CAPM and PMP exam in the first attempt. So very exciting. Please join me for that. Also, tips and secrets to solve exam questions. Okay, very, very nice for people to join that one. You're welcome to extend the webinar to anyone that that you think will benefit from it. So please share widely. I'd like to reach as many people as I can and share the knowledge here from the webinar. So I'd appreciate if you do that. And then sample exam like questions as we did today, frequently asked questions, so you know what people generally ask across the world, and also what we're going to cover in the upcoming session. Okay, so that's our agenda for the next session. And so our next session is on the 18th of October. So please join me in that session. As I've mentioned, please, send through to any of the colleagues that you work with. I'd love to have them join us in the next session. I think it's going to be quite valuable on the journey for both CAPM as well as PMP. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining me once again. I've really loved the time with you all. So see you in the next session, and enjoy the rest of your day or night or evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you.